So, hello and good evening.
Hello.
How are you
Hello.
guys? You had a long vacation, romantic vacation. Some of you,
Yeah.
yeah, it was good.
Very nice, yes.
Very nice. Okay, I'm not going to ask more because we have to talk something different. So, did you have time to read your homework?
Uh,
Oh, we almost finished it.
You did.
Almost.
You are
almost.
ready for an exam.
Well,
Okay, so could you briefly just say what was kind of important for you? Did you learn anything new? Did you notice anything interesting? And then we will get to my point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For me personally, uh, it was very interesting to see how people don't realize when they have issues, and even when Sylvia had the symptoms of depression in front of her, she didn't ask herself, do I have such symptoms? And it was she needed somebody, in this case Peter, to ask her these questions, because even though she didn't feel well, she she didn't realize that she has a serious issue.
Hmm. Why do you think that is? Is it because people are kind of not attentive, careless to notice?
Maybe people sometimes believe in themselves more than they can actually do by themselves alone.
Okay. Lubomir, what do you think? Why don't people
I,
notice?
I can add it that they didn't. They usually they don't share their problems with others, especially when they didn't know well. When we talked about colleagues, about not with friends, not with specialists, but even with friends, we also sometimes didn't talk about problems, about issues.
Hmm. Why not?
Uh,
That's why
because
friends are
yes, but
there. So,
we're
yeah.
uh, this is one kind of lifestyle. We are. You can see that I am a successful man. I don't have any problems. I uh, I deal with any problems. If you want help, of course. But
Yeah.
this is my
So we are
opinion.
strong. We are
Yes,
Mm.
always at the top. We're positive. Uh huh.
if I talked about me, when we, because we read together with Steffi, when we read about Sylvia, I recognized some of my similar symptoms at work. And yes, of course, and but for my work, I find I found motivation with the different when we talked with different people. When I talked with some person, I try to. I think that I deal with problems, but when I read this chapter, I'm not sure because after that maybe I would deal with at the moment, but after that when they came back again, it's
Yeah.
very it's maybe it's a work for a short time, but
Yeah. It's not a real
to
solution. Yes.
when we talk about bags, maybe I have a bags, maybe small bags, but I have bags.
Okay. Maybe. Just maybe.
We talked we should
Steffi,
we
does he have one?
we all of us have a bag,
He has a wallet. He has a small
Yeah,
wallet.
just a wallet. Yeah.
but when we thinking about it and when we at first most important thing that we can realize that we have a problem
Yeah.
and, and
Yeah,
after
we
that
will
we
get deeper into that, but I would like to hear Mariana too on this topic. What do you think, Mariana? Why don't people notice, or why don't they share, especially when they're depressed? I think that you know many people who go through depression. What do you think?
Well, I think that maybe they notice it, but they don't want to tell that it's true, like even to themselves.
Okay, they don't want to acknowledge it.
Hmm.
Okay. Why not?
Because it's gonna be a crash.
Why?
And
Depression is not a dirty word.
no, it's not, but
But for many people, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this will be your homework for next time. And I would ask you to get deeper into depression, because there is a chemical imbalance that can cause depression, and a simple pill can help, because this is the chemistry of the brain. And especially with people who are green personality, and they are kind of easy to get depressed because they analyze too much. It could be an issue, but then there is the other aspect that is not chemical, it is strictly psychological, because when you are depressed, you become a different person. You don't see reality the way it is. You have a totally different perception of reality, of people, of events. Everything you look at, you see differently. So I would ask you to get into that and just Google depression, Google causes for depression, and different treatment. So we can discuss it next time, and we can see what happened in Sylvia's case. But today I want to go a little bit differently and focus on this part of the chapter. Unless Peter had pushed her out of the path of a speeding delivery cart, or pulled her hand from an attacking paper shredder, how could an office manager save someone's life at work? Bill wondered. How did he do that? He's good, but how do you save someone's life in an office? It's kind of, well, what are you talking about? Sylvia laughed. As you probably already know, when Peter became our VP, this department was a mess. We hated our jobs. We hated each other. This is one of the symptoms of depression. Love turns to hate. It was a typical crystal display department, Bill smiled. Peter felt the only way to turn the department around was to change the direction of the staff. He started doing things to help us be more successful, develop our skills, improve communication, and make work a more pleasant place to be. One of the new programs, Steffi, could you read, please?
Yeah, one of the new programs he started was a series of what he called success seminars. These sessions taught us how to relate better to ourselves and to others. Peter felt that if we were healthier emotionally, we would be more productive and successful at work.
Mm-hmm.
How did people accept the seminars?
Thank you.
Bill asked.
At first?
At first, we were skeptical, critical, and
Cynical.
Cynical, of course. That's the way we were about everything related to work. But the seminars were mandatory.
Mandatory.
But the seminars were mandatory and were held during work hours. So even the most cynical person was happy to get off work for an hour. The presenters were very practical, helpful, and funny. People quickly warmed up to the events and started to enjoy them. They taught us how to look inside ourselves, recognize problems, and begin to do something about them. I figured I was okay, but I knew there were many people present who needed help. She linked again and smiled at Bill.
Thank you, Steffi. What are the seminars?
One of the seminars was about depression at work. A doctor came and told us that depression is a serious problem in the workplace. I had no idea that up to 6% of employees have a mood disorder like depression, anxiety, or mood swings. We had it often start. He said it often starts in their teen years and gradually worsens, so it affects people in their prime working years. I was surprised when he said that only 20% of people who have depression will ever be diagnosed or treated. The rest just stay at work and ignore the problem as it slowly worsens their performance, judgment, energy, concentration, productivity, creativity, and relationships. That sure described a lot of people in our department. I was hoping they were hearing the message and preparing to get help.
Okay, we will stop here. So, wasn't it a bit strange of Peter to start the change by seminars and then call them success seminars? Do you think that these people at this department ever believed that they would be successful?
No, at that time.
No? Why did he choose this name? It doesn't market very well. People don't buy that. What do you think?
Maybe to show them what the result will be.
Yeah, but when you're depressed and skeptical, how does this sound to you?
But because they don't like it, he chose it like to be something like provocative.
Okay, to challenge them. Yeah, but then doesn't he really risk that they don't show up? They will say, that's not for me. I know I could never be successful.
Yes, but maybe they can show evidence to turn this. They can say it. Well, we can show him how we can be unsuccessful. Maybe it's a motivated. It's one of the reasons.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
They can show that it doesn't work. You can see it's another way to lose our time. But we discussed with Steffi about the timing.
Yes. First, it was mandatory, and then it was during work hours.
Yes.
So they couldn't miss this seminar. They had to go. All right. So this is my second point. Peter had perhaps a good team to design the whole system of teaching. Because quite often seminars are, we're having a sales seminar, we're having a team building, we're having, and you know that there's something going on all the time, but is it really helping? Is it really effective? Why do people go? Because they have to or because they want to? Have you ever asked yourself those questions about the seminars that you go to and all those training sessions?
In most cases, it is because we have to.
Yeah, so do you find it interesting and helpful?
Some of them are surprisingly interesting.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I'm sure people go to these seminars with not much expectations, let's say.
Let's say so, yeah. So usually I believe this is a very big problem because, for example, if it's a commercial company, they talk about sales all the time. They improve sales skills, people skills, soft skills, any kind of skills. But the whole seminar, the whole thing is, the lecturer comes, They give a very interesting lecture. It could be even funny. It could be even with some jokes and some very high style and even some smoke in the room and visuals and all that stuff. What happens after that? So the thing, I believe, when you want to change a team or an organization, that's what I stopped doing years ago. I stopped making plans with my students. Because at school, you need to have, in this school year, I need to cover this material. Yeah, and this is what happens. You go and you teach your lesson, and it doesn't matter if the students understand or not. You don't have time to explain too much. You don't have time to go and do an extra session because everything is planned. And usually the results are not very good. So that's why I decided I will just follow the pace of the student. I will see how they respond. I will see if it is hard, I'm going to spend more time there. If it's easy, we will go quickly to the next one. And it turned out to be quite effective. Well, in a group session, it's very difficult because you have a lot of people to consider. But maybe that's why we should rethink the format of the teaching sessions and training sessions. Maybe we don't need to call the whole department. Maybe we can work in small groups. And all these things, if you really want, what was Peter's idea? He felt the only way to turn the department around was to change the direction. So I believe he gave them hope. Even though people don't believe, when you're depressed, you don't believe in success. But when you have to go there, and every day you read the title, Success Seminar, it works on your mind. Little by little, you start getting hope, and especially when you see friendly people, open people, they're kind of understanding, they show empathy, you begin to open up a little bit. So my next question, do you believe that these seminars, and from you read in this chapter, do you believe that at these seminars, the whole department, they started sharing and talking about their problems and all that? How do you see this?
This is the beginning. This is the first step.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a magical moment.
Mm-hmm.
But when these seminars, well, at first step they talk with doctor. After that, they can talk with different specialists, and this is the because when we talked with specialists, and when we work with with pairs, they can they can separate the teams. They can separate with different groups with similar skills, with similar, because they have a competition. They can improve together. Because if we aren't someone will be friend, we don't have any problems. We have rapport. We have connection. We can be a success. But when I play with other colleague who didn't know much, or who has a problem, we can build
That's
success.
a good point.
Yes. When specialists, because specialists can see big picture. I think that this is the way to success.
Okay, so you think that the experts who came, they were one of the important factors. Okay, Steffi,
Yes.
what do you think?
I also agree that this is just the beginning. After that, maybe this is the way people, or some people, can see that they have issues and they have to work on them. This was not the case with Sylvia, as she didn't realize it, but maybe there were people that that did, and looked for a solution.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure on these seminars they receive the solutions
Yeah.
as a gift, but at least this was the beginning.
Yeah. Okay, Mariana, what do you think? Have you ever been to such seminars, Mariana?
Never.
Never? Really?
Never.
Okay. Would you like to go to such a seminar?
If it's online.
Okay, so you have conditions. Okay, it's not going to be mandatory, but what do you expect can happen at this seminar? You have
I don't know, to escape from the real world.
Escape. Does that help?
Well, I don't know. I know that it doesn't, but well, it's like a fairy tale, you know. All this chapter was like a fairy tale, and the end was so happy.
Well, this is not the end yet. We have 2 more chapters, but we are getting there. So, by the way, this doctor that spoke about depression is in fact the author, and he is a psychologist and psychiatrist who has one of his major, let's say, areas is depression. And I was at his seminar. It was really challenging because quite often when you start with training and teaching, you start changing the mind. You don't immediately see change in behavior, but you start challenging people to see things through different perspective. Like Steffi said, you begin to understand that, well, if they're talking about these problems, maybe I have one. Like Lubomir said, when I read this chapter, I started thinking, so this is one of the major things that can change direction. First, you challenge people to think differently. And this is what I told one of my students today. She said, well, when I have an opinion, I don't want to say my opinion unless I have a solution to propose. And I said, well, these are 2 totally different things. I don't want to hear your solution now. I want to hear what you think. I just want to hear your opinion. Well, but this is how I was trained at home. If I cannot offer a solution, I should keep my opinion to myself. And then I said, okay, imagine that you share your opinion and it challenges me and I come up with a solution because of your opinion. Oh, I never thought of that. And it started changing the direction of thinking. It doesn't happen quickly. It doesn't happen easily. But it's a very good step. That's why I do believe that we need teaching, we need seminars, we need education, but not just a lecture.
Was she Bulgarian, I mean?
Which one?
This person that has the problem with...
Yes, she was.
Okay, this is very similar.
That explains it, right? No. You know, when you start communicating with a lot of people, you will see that most of the problems are absolutely human. They are not national. They are not, how shall I say, local. Because when you live in your small world, you believe this is our problem. Well, you'll be surprised. It's a problem of people all over the world. And that's why we need to be challenged. That's why we need to see a little bit outside. And experts are very good. So experts, does it mean that they need to have titles? What do you think, guys? Like when I invited you to talk about family and how you're building your family, are you experts?
No.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, because you're good at this. And it makes you a person who has really dug into it. You have found answers, solutions. You don't need the titles. This is what I tell so many people. Nobody has ever asked me for my degree from university. Doesn't matter where I go, what I do. Nobody has ever asked me, except for one time when I applied for the Union of Translators and Interpreters, and they needed the paperwork. So I just gave them a copy and that was it. Nobody even looked at it. So what makes you an expert? To be qualified to change the way people believe and the direction of a team. What do you think?
Yes, there is no need to have a title, but to be an expert, you have to have at least a lot of knowledge about the subject.
Don't you? How many years?
10 already.
Okay, so I have 26.
So you're
yes,
better expert.
I am an expert, yes. It doesn't mean that I know everything. And that's maybe our wrong idea of expert. They have all the answers. I don't believe in such experts. They can have a lot of experience. They can give a lot of ideas, but they can hardly have all the answers. Lubomir, what do you think?
We're different people. I agree.
Who do you call an expert, Lubomir?
Expert. People have, what do you say about, is not important our titles or our
certificates,
yes. Maybe we are expert when we are good for something and
yes.
when we can help others. And
yes.
I agree with you about it because I started to work like to help myself about my graduation, about my studying.
Yeah.
But I do this. I do this for 16 years.
Oh, okay. So
yes.
Yeah, it started as a hobby.
Yes, but and when I started to work, they didn't ask me about my certificates.
Yeah.
And now I have certificates for many seminars. I have different, but I'm not expert, I think. But
let me challenge you. Do you feel you are an expert in sales?
No.
Why not?
I can help people, but I'm not.
Well,
because
it's not just about helping people, it's about knowing. So, do you know how to make a sale?
Yes, but it's not,
do you know how to work with different kinds of people?
Yes, but I can learn.
Do you know, stop this please, there's always a but every expert can always learn more and more. I believe we should take let's say expert skills to a different level. Tom Schreiter challenged me years ago and he said, okay, you're a professional network marketer. And I said, no, I'm doing it just when I have time. This is kind of a hobby. And he said, okay, how long have you been doing it? Well, for several years. Have you studied into it? Have you given your time to get into the details of it? Some. Have you helped others? Yes. So do you feel confident that you know what you're doing? Sometimes. And I have to grow and understand that, okay, you can be an expert level 1 and you can be an expert level 100. And there are different levels of expertise. But if you are good at what you're doing and you get into the details of what you're doing and you can explain, for me, this is expert. I don't go to an expert doctor who is a perfect doctor, but he cannot explain what my problem is. I cannot trust him. And it was one of the reasons I stopped studying medicine, because they don't teach you how to explain what you know. You speak in Latin, people don't speak Latin. You look at them well, he's a patient. No, he's a person, or she. And this is, for me, the big contradiction. And I don't believe such experts can really help. What I see here is presenters were practical, helpful. So this is expert, but then funny. They were willing and ready and able to help other people to create this atmosphere. Because I don't want these experts with the tie, with the expensive suit and the expensive Rolex watch, and they're the experts. I don't care how much money you have in your bank account. If you make me feel horrible, you're not my expert. So we will continue talking about getting out of depression, because I believe we can see good ideas here. But for me, it was important to challenge you. You guys, can you say in one area or another that you are experts? This is your homework. Think about it. And maybe you can tell me next time.
Okay.
I have a friend who says, I'm an expert gardener. And I say, why? Because whatever flower I take, it could be even dying, but I can make it alive again. That's confidence. Maybe she doesn't know all the Latin names. She doesn't know all the special tools that you need to work with plants. But she knows what to do to bring that flower or plant back to life. And I think that's what counts. So I'm challenging you about your confidence for next time. Do you feel an expert in any area? And you will tell me next time. I will start with that. So don't be late to miss the question.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you. So
Thank you,
have a wonderful
Thank you.
evening and continue reading the chapter, because as far as I understood, you haven't finished yet.
Yeah,
Oh, so you still have some homework
just
to do
a little
tonight.
bit. Yeah.
Oh, good. So enjoy and
All
see you
right.
next week.
Thank you. Bye, George.
Bye.
Bye bye.